What's up, Internet Netsians, the VCs, founders, and the Entrepreneur Curious? You've made it, and you're here. It's Peter with VC Daily, Venture Daily. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Monday. It is Monday after all, February 10th, and you are starting your week with me. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far, and if you're on the commute, what's up, guys? I hope you're having a safe drive out there. I got a lot of pings from a couple people over the weekend letting me know that they're appreciative of my final word from last week, as well as they enjoy listening to me on their drive. So what's up, Kimmy and Taylor? Taylor, what's up, man? I love being a part of your day. I hope you guys are having a safe drive, whether you're listening to me on iTunes or Spotify or Google Podcasts, or you're watching me on the BoobTube. Make sure that you tweet it out. Let people know. We have a lot of people who listen to us audio only, which is always interesting to me when it comes to this particular new mobile-first, video-first world that we live in. And so it's a grand experiment. We're syndicating all over the world, so make sure that you find the platform that works for you. And if you're on a platform or you appreciate or use a platform that we're not syndicating to, let me know. That way we can make sure that we're using the system that you enjoy best. We're going to be switching it up a little bit today on this Monday, the second week of February, guys. And usually I go through 3 news bits, and then I go through venture deals, and then I go through final word. However, I want to do a little bit of a personal note early this Monday, talking about what's going on with, this year so far. And maybe if you're in a position as an entrepreneur curious individual or a founder, or even a venture capitalist, doesn't matter. What are you willing to give up? What are you willing to give up this year to achieve your goals? So this will be kind of a heartfelt thing from me. I'm going to read through this thing that I put together here, and then I'm going to be going into a longer article today. So we're just going to be covering 2 articles. A longer article talking about whether you will need college in 2040. And I'll be giving a little bit of color commentary around what I believe, especially for the younger millennials and the Generation Z, what you might need to prepare for as we move into this new world of technology, guys. So strap in, guys. We have a great show for you today. Just 2 things we're going to be talking about, but this allows me to serenade you guys. Serenade you with my wonderful, wonderful voice. Let's get into it. Here's our first one. Well, what are you willing to give up? That's the question I want to ask. As New Year fever winds down, as we're moving past January, this is the time when committed goal seekers really nail down what they're doing, and not only what they're doing, but how they're going to achieve their dreams. Could be a powerful idea, don't you think? Let's see, why is this not working? See, when I meet with clients who have big goals for the new year or the next quarter, I always ask a pivotal question that makes them pause. What are you willing to give up? Now, this is something that I ask all the time. You see, when it comes to software development and clients, really, when it comes to software development clients, they always want new stuff. They always want the next big thing. However, you can't have everything. And one of the questions I always ask is, what are you willing to give up, or what are we willing to not do now? It has to be a compromise. And so the question, again, revolving around your mind as you listen to my sexual voice this morning, is merely this. What are you willing to give up as we move deeper into 2020 to reach the goals that you want to reach? During conversations about goal setting, we tend to think about the upside or the achievement that will be gained or added to our lives, but we rarely discuss what we must subtract to accomplish what we want. In truth, though, you have to create a new space in your life for the new opportunities and achievements. To gain the upside, you have to decide what you're willing to let go of or stop doing to allow your most important goal to come to fruition. For instance, I work with a client who has had the goal of buying a home for 3 years, but each year he'd spend money elsewhere instead of saving it for a down payment. He'd buy into a new truck, an off-road vehicle or trailer to join his friends on their outdoor adventures, which was a great way to spend his money on items and experience that brought him joy and created special social outings. Yes, I'm surrounded by lots of car dudes. We have these types of conversations all the time, guys. However, he felt he had to get back financially from putting effort into his larger dream of buying a house. Several months ago, he looked around and realized that the toys he accumulated were part of the problem. Enough is enough. So the question I have to ask you guys are, have you collected a lot of toys? Have you collected a lot of collateral assets? Have you collected a lot of things that are maybe dragging you down financially? Maybe if you're in a startup, what should you not be spending money on? Whether it's you're venture funded or doesn't matter. What should you not be spending money on, and what should you be focusing on this year? Always a great question. We always want to try to refocus them to the dream. Well, he always wanted to refocus to buying a dream home, but he decided to get rid of everything. A great idea. Spring cleaning, by the way. The truck, and with the expensive car payment, the off-road vehicles, toy haulers another year, and save for a down payment. He sold it all within 3 months. Once he started in this direction, his progress exploded. And as each month passed, his momentum is building as he saves more and more since he no longer has those monthly bills. When I tell others about this amazing and quick transformation, I point out 3 main pivots that helped him move quickly. Number 1, once he admitted that he wasn't where he wanted to be, although he was having fun with his friends, I get it, I like having fun with my friends as well, he realized that owning all the stuff wasn't really that fulfilling. He decided that he could buy that stuff again later, if he really wanted it, once he bought the home of his dreams. Number 2, he also realized the balance of between owning toys, that which you like, and being captive to your things, especially when you have high car payments or high interest credit cards. When you're working to pay for this stuff, you're not moving forward with your future. Instead, you're carrying forward financial obligations from your past. Big deal, guys. Let this sink in for a second. Now, it's not just when I work with clients where I'm talking about the financial implications of poor business decisions in the future. When it comes to just working with small startups or founders or individuals. I was working with one just the other night from Louisiana, and Lord, I'll tell you, I love the Southern accents. Maybe that's why I'm willing to sometimes do it for free if you got a nice accent, guys. But here's the thing. When I'm working with these individuals, it's like, look, what are you dragging from your past into your present and future? What constraints are you creating because of the financial obligations that you have before you? Maybe if we got rid of those financial obligations, you would be unfettered to become even more of who you need to be, and you'll be more effective and focused on the work you're doing this year. Consider that, guys. Once the emotion behind obtaining his goal was high enough to make it happen, he immediately took action and got everything in order. My favorite part of this story is that once my client sold his vehicles and gear within 3 months and began saving, his friends wanted it too. One wanted to buy a house, and another wanted to climb out of the financial hardship of paying minimums on credit cards and living paycheck to paycheck. Once they saw him do it, they thought, hey, I can do it too. See, this is super powerful. You could be, and I try to be, I'm not a great model here, but you could be a fantastic model for not only your peers, but your family and maybe even your coworkers, colleagues. It's powerful to let them know that you're refocusing. You're not wasting your time. You're not wasting your life on frivolous things and things that captivate you and end up pulling you away from what you really should be focusing on. Remember, just like this client of mine, you can sell it. You can sell it and you can buy it back later again. But generally, what I've found is that after I've sold something that has been taking time away from what I need to focus on, I generally don't want to buy it back. And the reason is because I've matured, I've improved, I've grown up. I realized that that was a great thing in a moment in time, and it was enjoyable in a moment in time. But you know what? I don't need it. You can move on, guys. You can completely move on. So, yes, let's get back to this article, guys. My client's actions started a movement in his social group, and now several of them are ditching expensive things they want to get what they truly want. Another brief example is I have a client who owns an investment property in California who has to work extra days per week just to afford the property. It costs her money nearly every month, and it detracts from her lifestyle. Although she dreaded coming into 2020 with this responsibility and liability hanging around her neck, we envisioned what her life could be like otherwise. Instead of hanging on to a property that others told her would be a good investment, she's selling it. And we're working together to invest the proceeds into a passive investment with positive cash flow. Rather than working an extra day, she can work 2 fewer days per week and have flexibility. She's not anchored by that mortgage payment. So, think about this. How can you decide what to give up? I'd like to offer this advice. In my opinion, people inherently know what's not good for them. You know what's keeping you trapped, whether it's an expense or an action that you've been comfortable with and that no longer serves you in a positive way. Question whether certain actions and payments are worth the benefit you're receiving. Search through your monthly expenses and ask if the new truck payment is worth it and whether you're wasting time on social media or TV. The last time I deleted the social media apps on my phone, I laughed when I realized I wasn't truly busy all the time. Now, the second thing that you have to do after you've considered these ideas is you have to create space for your new goal. This could mean physical space or emotional energy. I find that the physical to be helpful because we have stories about our belongings that we don't even notice. And being able to let go of certain items may help us to start anew with other goals as well. If your physical environment is full, you may not feel spacious within yourself enough to grow. And if you think about it, I'm kind of living this right now, guys, and this is why this is such an opportune thing for me to go through with you. I recently just got rid of my race car, and now I have space. You know what? Instead of filling this up with another exotic car, another race car, another time bandit, I'm kind of enjoying having it be free and open. It gives me opportunity to think freely, maybe even dream a little bit. Because you know what I really like behind me? I'd like a McLaren P1, but I don't have $2.2 million to spend right now on a blasted car. And so I'm going to hold off. I'm going to wait. And that's a good thing. Finally, in terms of my advice, seek out support to take your next step. It's easy to get in your own head and make this change seem harder than it is. We often have self-doubt about why we can't change or what we can't do. However, a mentor or friend inherently has a different perspective than you do about yourself, and someone who can point you out what's possible and keep you motivated as obstacles appear. Change is difficult. It doesn't matter if it's now or if it's 2020 or whatever. Change is difficult, guys. But once you realize what's holding you back and decide what you can give up to make space for what you really want to achieve, it's possible to quickly take action and get your momentum back. As we move into February, guys, consider it. What should you give up this year? Well, I hope that was a helpful and encouraging piece to go over with you guys. You know, there's a lot of opportunity in 2020. There really is. And I was just, as I had kind of talked about a little bit previously, I was working with a client in Louisiana, and man, they're in a great position. They're in a great position to scale. And one of the issues that she was talking with me about is how do I scale while also still have the responsibilities of the previous work that I have to do? Well, I told her a couple things. Number one, it's time to grieve and let go. Begin the process of letting go the previous work. You got a big opportunity in front of you. It's time to scale. It's time to focus on that. And one of the final questions that I asked her, which I think is important for you guys to listen to and know about, is the gut. I've talked about this so many times. And if you listen to my interview with Heidi Roizen from Threshold Ventures, then you'll remember how much we talked about this as well. I asked her, and this is a powerful question, guys. I asked her the question, what does your gut tell you? And here's the thing. When she responded, she already knew. Her gut already knew what she needed to do. She needed to remove this previous life and focus on the new scaled opportunity. She has to. She already knew it. She needs to hire for the old one. And then, you know, the new manager's never going to be able to do it the way that she did it. That's okay. Get over it. And focus on this new opportunity. And I even told her this. I said, what if the new opportunity doesn't happen? Then at least you've already hired someone to backfill you in your previous work. And now you have a well-oiled machine and someone working for you where you don't even have to work, and you can use that space, just like we talked about here. You can use that space to focus and consider what your next opportunity really is. As we move into 2020, guys, I want to be your partner. I want to be your encourager, whether you're a venture capitalist, a founder, or the entrepreneur curious. If you're in any place in your life where you want to improve yourself, improve your job, improve your career, execute on an idea, that's why I'm here. And I want to spend more time giving out, not advice, but just helpful experience that I've gone through so that you guys can make better informed decisions. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoy these types of pieces, and I can do more of them. I had a conversation with the guy who really spurred this, one of my friends, Paul. He said he kind of likes the personal stuff anyway. So let me know in the comments below, and let's get on to the next one after a word from our sponsor. True startup story, guys. You got it. Your company just got seed round financed. Congratulations. You're going to the moon. But now you have to scale. You found great talent out in California, New York, Georgia, and even Eastern Europe. So what communications platform will you be using to ensure your international team is always aligned? Well, the answer is easy. Slack.com for Teams. We've used Slack for all of our previous startups, and they've supported us in tremendous ways. And we want to give them a thanks today for supporting VCHunting.com. Did you also know that Slack is a great tool for personal use? Yeah, I use my own personal Slack channel to drop in documents, notes, to-dos, and follow-ups to ensure that my workflow throughout the day is right on course. I promise you, if you try out Slack.com for personal use, you'll end up using it for your team as well. Go to Slack.com to check it out. Welcome back to Venture Daily with me, Peter Saddington, the #1 fastest growing daily show in all of venture media. In this next article that I want to read to you guys, it's one that I hope will make you think. Whether you're in a career already, you're close to 40 like me, or you're an old timer, it doesn't matter. I think it's worth noting what might happen, what could be a potential future for those who are college bound, and whether we will even need it. And so if you're helping out an individual, if you're old like me and you got college bound kids, or you got kids who are ready for college, you might want to consider reading this article, or at least showing them this article, or listen to me go through it. Because you know what? The world is shifting and changing, guys. To give you some context, I have opinions about college. I have opinions about university. I have an undergrad and I have 3 master's degrees. I could have got a PhD, but you know what? Maybe I'll do that a little bit later. I spent a lot of time behind the school bars of sorts. The bars are the prison of school. I understand the marketed value. I also understand the pragmatic value. And so I have an opinion about it, and that doesn't mean that I'm right, but I will say I've spent a lot of time in the educational world. And I've always wondered, especially having a couple kids now, I've always wondered, will they need college? I'll tell you my default answer. The answer is no. But let's see what this article has to say. So, will you still need college education in 2040? Thank God Almighty, free at last. I'm already out of college, so this isn't going to apply to me, but it might apply to you millennials and you Generation Z out there. College enrollment rates were already falling, and this article author, asked 6 experts to explain the workforce of the future and how they'll get trained. Back in 2015, Heather Terenzio was giving a talk at a vocational school after she provided an overview of the Boulder-based software development company she founded, Tectonic Group. A young man who helped cater the event came to her. She told Terenzio that he'd been teaching himself to code for 10 years. He liked what Tectonic was doing and said that if she were to hire him, she wouldn't regret it. We thought, well, why don't we see what we can do with this kid, says Terenzio. He learned everything we taught him, and we had the epiphany that we were on to something interesting. Tectonic had been struggling to find qualified developers, and outsourcing the work offshore just wasn't cutting it. So why not create a formal program to allow people with a computer science degree to train for these jobs? That's an interesting idea. Today, Tectonic is the first Department of Labor approved apprenticeship program for coding. Participants apply to be part of the program, and once they're selected, the company trains them while paying them from day one. Not bad. After the training period, Tectonic pairs each participant with a senior staff member to work on a client project. At the end of the program, Tectonic, or one of Tectonic's clients, hires the apprentice. Working on the job, learning on the job, probably far better than being given theory and spending all these years and tens and maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars memorizing stuff that your job will never ask you about. Coding-based apprenticeships might be a recent development, but Terenzio predicts that in 20 years, more and more companies will adopt similar models. I can see it in every industry, she says. Medical billing, other kinds of jobs. Many workplace and higher education experts agree. We talked to 6 professionals whose work involves predicting the nature of education and upskilling in 2040 and what the workforce is likely to demand from employees. They all shared the consensus that change is the only certainty. Workers, employers, and education providers alike need to be agile, flexible, and prepared to adapt as technology continues to disrupt industries and change what jobs will and will not be available. Here's what else they had to say. Number 1, traditional colleges will be forced to adapt to meet the needs of employers. Rising student debt and uncertain returns on investment have many questioning whether college is still worth it. And I'll tell you this right now, for most of those liberal arts degrees, they're kind of not really that worth it, bro. They're really not worth it. I mean, if you understand, feminist underwater basket weaving from Africa, like if that's your degree, I get it. You were totally interested in it, but there's not that many employers that want to hire someone who's focused 4 years of their life on underwater African feminist basket weaving. I made up all that, guys. According to a 2019 survey by PayScale that polled 248,000 recipients, 250,000 people, 66% had some regrets over their college experience, with student loans being the main reason for the dissatisfaction. Fast Company also recently conducted its own informal Twitter poll on how useful college is likely to be in 2040, and nearly 70%, 69%, of the 3,900 respondents agreed that a degree would be less useful than it is now. That's a big owie, guys. Big owie. Less useful than it is now? Uh-oh. Let's move on. So what will colleges look like in 2040? According to Ryan Craig, co-founder and managing partner of University Ventures, a fund that invests in education companies, including Tectonic, we're going to see the biggest shifts among non-selective colleges, that is, colleges with acceptance rates of 50% or higher. They will have to eliminate departments, programs, functions, merge with each other, and ultimately become more focused on employment and employability, says Craig. I completely agree. I see a future where a lot of these social sciences are going to be folded. And the reason is they're just not useful in the workplace. No one cares that you spent 4 years learning about East Asian cultures from the 1400s to the 1500s. Yeah, you wrote an awesome paper on it, and you know more about the East Asian cultures from the 1400s to the 1500s than anyone on the planet. But bro, it's not useful information. It really isn't. 2 decades ago, there was this general thought among colleges: our job is not to be vocational institutions, says Johnny C. Taylor, Jr., President and CEO of the Society of Human Resource Management. Instead, the purpose was for lofty academic pursuits, like learning 14th century Asian culture and teaching individuals to become more well-rounded individuals. But we're not even doing that well. Now, and likely in the future, employability and return on investment are the top of mind for many prospective students. I think that the market made this educational shift, says Taylor. Combined with declining enrollment due to the falling U.S. birth rate, colleges will have no choice but to focus on more practical-based training and change their curriculum to meet the demand of employers, he says. I think, and this is my opinion here, I think this is a good idea. There's a lot of stuff that's being shilled and taught in college universities, I would know, that is completely useless. And you end up paying thousands, tens of thousands of dollars per credit hour to learn something that no one gives a shit about. Sorry, guys. As for the merits of colleges, both Taylor and Craig believe it will remain a pathway to a good first job. I disagree. This is me saying. But not a default one as it is for so many today. Craig believes that for those who can get admitted to a selective university without incurring large amounts of debt, a 4-year college education remains the best choice. But for everyone else, an alternative path might be the best way to go. I'll tell you this, 4 years of sitting in classrooms, drinking beer when you're not in classrooms, and chasing tail when you're not in classrooms is not a good use of your time. You could be spending 4 years getting on-the-job training, actually making money, and learning a trade skill. And by the time all your fellow peers graduate from college, you'll be in middle management or maybe even senior management if you've really been busting your ass. Yeah. They'll have a shiny piece of paper that says University of whatever. But you will have real life experience. Consider this, guys. Number 2, we're going to see more and more alternatives to traditional colleges. That's for sure. One of those training paths will be company-sponsored apprenticeship programs, says Craig. In his book, A New You, Faster and Cheaper Alternatives to College, that he calls this type of arrangement last mile training. Essentially, it's the skills that are missing between the secondary ecosystem and what employers are actually looking for. Boot camps are what Craig calls version 1.0 of the last mile training model. They may be faster and cheaper than colleges, but many still require the applicant to incur financial risks by paying tuition fees up front without the guarantee of a job. Even for graduates, Craig says companies that has what he calls a hiring friction, where they are reluctant to hire candidates who have never done the job before and what the company is hiring for, let alone entry-level candidates who are just starting out their careers. Version 2.0 of last mile training, according to Craig, is educational providers who adopt an income shared agreement. Rather than charge tuition up front, students only pay a percentage of their income if they secure a job that meets a specific income threshold, for example, over $40,000. But while this eliminates the financial risk, it doesn't solve the problem of hiring friction. Employer-sponsored apprenticeships eliminate both. Terenzio and Taylor see employer-sponsored apprenticeships as a positive trend, but not for everyone in the training and education space is on board. For starters, not every company can afford to introduce this kind of program. Also, when a company is in charge of their employees' education, it locks the employees into a company's way of doing things, says Scott Latham, an associate professor at the University of Massachusetts Lowell. For instance, an engineer may get versed in Amazon Web Services that may prepare them for a great career at Amazon, but it doesn't allow for a great deal of mobility across the tech sector. Craig believes that the sweet spot will be intermediaries that can build into their business model a commercial incentive to provide and train entry-level talent and scale. Here, Craig is referring to staffing of business services companies that are able to train individuals at a large scale in addition to matching candidates to specific roles. He predicts that they will explode in a good way, and as a result, he's placing University Ventures' focus on funding these types of companies. Well, we've seen this already in the venture capital space. There's a startup called Lambda School where they train you for free in the beginning, and once you get a job, then you end up paying them back over time. Not a bad deal. However, this right here, on-site apprenticeships from the companies themselves could be a powerful way to offset the need to, you don't need to go to college, you don't need to go to university, and you can get on-the-job training immediately and apply what you're learning, which is really key. Apply what you're learning to add value to the company itself. Everybody wins here. I like this idea. Number 3, soft skills will continue to be the most important, but most jobs will require a high level of technological competence. I mean, let's be honest. The world is going to technology. It's going to be pretty hard in the future to be a manager or to be a leader of people if you don't know technology. And I would even go maybe even farther. Like if you know a little bit about code, it will go a long way. In today's workforce, there's growing emphasis on soft skills. Many workplace experts predict that it's these skills that will help workers differentiate themselves from their peers when they are applying for a job. These skills include communication, empathy, mindfulness, creativity, collaboration, and leadership, according to Fast Company contributor Faisal Hoque. As we hurtle toward our inevitable robot and AI-filled future, these sorts of uniquely human capabilities will be worth more, essentially, wrote Hoque. But the prevalence of automation, yeah, these skills are going to be more valuable, but we can't remove the fact that, yeah, humans still got to do most of the work here. But the prevalence of automation will mean that more and more jobs will require an ability to work with new sorts of technology. As an individual, you're going to have to constantly ask yourself, how will the future of work technology affect my industry, says Latham. A job in sales or marketing, for example, will require competence in navigating customer management software such as Salesforce. Nurses and doctors will have to learn how to work alongside robots, and this means that, along with having soft skills, workers of the future will need to be prepared to perform jobs with strong technological components. That's a big deal. Number 4, specialists will be more valued than generalists. This is an interesting idea. The rise of the gig economy and contract work in roles that were once the purview of traditional employment is one of the main ways that technology has changed the job landscape. Micah Rowland, the COO of Fountain, a recruitment platform for gig and hourly workers, believes that we'll continue to see this trend in 20 years' time. So what will change, according to Rowland, is the extent to which specialists will be valued over generalists. He gives the example of legal services. In the past, a small business owner may go to a local lawyer to take care of their legal needs, both for their business and their personal affairs. In the future, that business owner will have greater access to legal talent and services beyond their immediate proximity and geography, depending on their specific needs. They may engage one lawyer to help them sort out their tax affairs and another to help them write a will. Possibly neither of these lawyers will live in their city, and 100% of their interaction will be likely to take place virtually. More and more of those transactions will occur on an as-needed, one-off basis, says Rowland. This is the world that we're coming to, in which you will connect and do work and you will sit at home. It's going to be a bright future. It's going to be a great future, but you have to be prepared, and you got to have the soft skills. I hope a lot of you guys, and this is something that I'm writing my book on, by the way. If I can interject here just quickly. This is one of the things that I'm writing my book on. My next book is about how to create and grow a personal brand for 2030 to 2040. You're going to need to learn how to communicate online. You're going to need to learn how to communicate through video. You're going to need to learn how to communicate to a camera. It's true, guys. Those who can do this type of stuff well are going to be the ones that are in the best position to succeed in the next decade plus. I promise you, it's going to happen. Just keep it locked here. I'm going to finish this book, and I'm going to continue to give you guys tips on how to grow your personal brand and better communication over time. Number 5, micro-credentialing will become more prevalent. Now, this is something that I thought was pretty cool. I have a lot of micro-credentials, I guess. As technology continues to transform various industries, what employers are looking for are employees that will change at a faster rate. Latham says the best case scene or scenario will be one where disruption that occurs and jobs won't be destroyed but will be changed. And someone who has been doing accounting will now do the same job, but they need to know how to work with an artificial intelligence robot. That's going to require a lot of upskilling, says Latham. The worst case scenario will be the reskilling, and if AI, drones, and automation destroys jobs, and these people need to be reskilled into new industries and learn new skills. We're probably going to end up somewhere in the middle, Latham predicts. Whether it's upskilling or reskilling, experts predict that micro-credentialing will be a big trend in the future. Workers will continually need to upskill and reskill as their employers' needs shift. Latham believes that we're going to see small bites education, kind of what I'm doing in a lot of ways. Workers will be able to obtain certificates in cybersecurity, for example, without necessarily having to complete a degree. In turn, educational providers will be more and more specialized in their offerings, just like coding boot camps. There will be more and more training institutions that focus on one particular industry. I completely see this happening, 100%, in that if you're at a job and you need to learn a new skill, you just go online to a training academy and you go learn it. That's it. You might not even get a certification. It doesn't even really matter. You just need to be effective. And those that are self-learners, those who want to upskill and grow themselves constantly, continuously, they're going to be the most successful as we move into this new world gig economy, this new world employee economy, where you're gonna be long distance. That's great, but when the employer shifts and when they have new needs and they have new things that you need to be skilled at, You're going to have to find those resources to upskill and uptrain to make sure that you can stay competitive. Number 6, last but not least, lifelong learners and companies that encourage a culture of learning will be the ones to thrive. 100%. If there's one thing apart from the change that most professionals in the training education space agree on, it's the belief that those who choose to see their careers as a sequence of continuing education will be the ones to thrive in the future. It's not enough to be smart, says Taylor. Good workers of the future also need to be curious. Curious people see what's coming around the corner. Curiosity will keep you ahead of the game. As for employers, companies that cultivate a culture of learning will be the ones who benefit. Leo Belsky, Chief Enterprise Officer at online learning platform Coursera, says that facilitating training will become part of the manager's role. I think a direct learning is going to be core part of that, she explains. Companies are now realizing that to sell their technology, they need to get into the education space. They realize that they are limited in how much they can grow because they aren't enough skilled professionals. At the end of the day, none of us really knows what the future looks like, says Taylor. You have to be uncomfortable being, or you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And I would add to her quote here, I would say you have to get comfortable with continually learning, because if you're not learning, someone else is. And when someone else is, they become more valuable, especially to an employer who's just counting the costs. I hope these two ideas, this article, I hope this was helpful. I hope this was an enjoyable episode for you guys. I hope it was educational and thought-provoking. Let me know. Leave your comments below if you've lasted this long, if you've listened to the whole thing. Leave your comments below. Let me know if you'd like me to do more long form like this and less of the breakup, three news articles, and then the venture deals, which I do like doing, and then the word of the final word, which is sometimes short, sometimes long, sometimes personal, sometimes I'm just ripping off one of these calendar things from Shrug Calendar. But I want to continue to iterate. I want to continue to change, and I want to continue to provide value the best way I can. Even though my audience is low on YouTube, I'm growing big time in the non-video world of podcasting all over the world, and so it's going to continue to be an experiment for me to figure out how to best serve a very broad and wide audience. But I want to do my best, and I also want to add my personal flair into it. I want to add my personality into it, so you guys get to know who I am and what I care about and these types of things. So leave a comment below if you lasted this long and you enjoy this type, or if you have a thought about college education in the future. Guys, I love doing this stuff. I love being a part of your day. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram and TikTok at VC Hunting. You can follow me on Tweeters at AgilePeter, and make sure also to look below in the description to find our daily newsletter, The Daily Hunt, where you can get news that you can use every day, news that I'm reading. We spend a lot of time, guys. We spend a lot of time, copy pasta, all those links of all the stuff that we read. I say we, it's just me. But that I read takes a lot of work, guys. Anyway, have a great day, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.